Of MSNBC Live, Katie Tur standing by.
Hi there, Craig. Thank you very much. It is 11 a.m. out west and 2 p.m. in Washington, where everything is totally fine at the White House. Don't mind the historic staff turnover or the policy clashes or the porn star who is suing the president. There's nothing to see here. Donald Trump is not worried, for example, about Gary Cohn's resignation. The president tweeted this morning, "We'll be making a decision soon on the appointment of a new chief economic advisor. Many people wanting the job will choose wisely." It doesn't matter that Cohn is leaving because of an epic policy clash on tariffs. That is pretty much, that has much of the president's party in revolt against him, or that Cohn is the 49th departure in this administration, which, reminder, is only 412 days old. And that puts turnover right now at a whopping 40%.
The White House is getting hollowed out, and the number of people capable of doing things, whether you agree or disagree ideologically, is getting smaller and smaller.
What you see going on right now is a West Wing that feels like it's in turmoil, that the churning is so pronounced and the internal dissension and unhappiness is so extreme.
I'm not sure everybody who is qualified and experienced and a person of really broad views is dying to get into that White House.
Need a visual? Here's the White House staff on the day they were sworn in. And here is who is left. Why all the trouble attracting and keeping advisors, strategists, and big thinkers? It could be the president's erratic policy making, the fear of being drawn into the Mueller investigation, or the demands of loyalty from a leader who doesn't respond in kind. Not exactly selling points for high-quality hires. So our big question of the day is, who wants to be a White House staffer? The president says anyone he wants. The reporting shows that's not exactly true. The White House briefing starts in 30 minutes, we think. We'll go to that when it happens. In the meantime, let's bring in our team of reporters and analysts. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell is at the White House. Jake Sherman is a senior writer for Politico. Jonathan Lemire is a White House reporter for the Associated Press and an MSNBC political analyst. And former Obama White House press secretary Josh Earnest. Kelly, let's start with you. The president says he can have anyone he wants. What is the real story?
Well, one of the challenges, Katie, is that this White House has almost from the beginning also put up a barrier for individuals on the outside who had been against President Trump as a candidate or spoken critically of him. So that has certainly winnowed the available pool of quality talent. You have the issue of, in Republican circles, some potential staffers that I've talked to have said they've been concerned about the long-term impact of Trump administration on their resume. And you have the atmosphere in the White House working for a president who, as you the sort of environment in the workplace, is that something that attracts people? So you've got really these differing reasons why it is hard for them to fill these positions. And we're talking about senior positions where you would hope that the individuals they're looking at have relevant outside world experience. One of the reasons Gary Cohn has been so often complimented because of his real world business experience, his different point of view as a registered Democrat, and his ability to sort of work with the different camps within the White House. That's a hard thing to fill. But some of the problems are of their own making, and others a wariness on the outside. Katie?
So talk to me, Jonathan, about why so many people are leaving this administration.
The tone is set from the top in many ways. This is a president who does not have a fixed ideology on a lot of issues, who offer day to day can offer very conflicting, contrasting opinions of what he wants done policy-wise. That wears people down. That frustrates them. Certainly the Mueller probe is a big part of this. There's that, it hovers over the entire West Wing. People inside are worried about legal exposure and mounting legal bills if it comes to that. They have had, as Kelly just said, trouble bringing in some outside talent. People are reluctant to go into that kind of situation. Also, the president and his closest advisors are reluctant to bring in anyone who was a never-Trumper, if you will. It is a tough environment in there. All the reporting we've done, morale is at sort of an all-time low. There are people in there doing 3 or 4 jobs at once and wearing down. And
there's still so many other open positions that have never been filled.
That's right. They've been understaffed from day one. Let's remember some of the chaos in the transition. Chris Christie was supposed to oversee a lot of that hiring process. He got ousted for Mike Pence. They were behind the 8 ball from day one. They're still playing catch up.
Ousted by Jared Kushner, or at least in part by Jared Kushner. Josh, you were in the inner sanctum of the Obama administration. It's obviously an honor to serve your country, to work in the White House. What is it usually like to fill a position in the West Wing?
What it's usually like is that there are people who are eager to come to the place and work in the building and be surrounded by the people who are exercising the most influence in Washington, D.C., and in some cases, the most influence in the world on a particular policy area. And I think there are two primary reasons why the Trump administration is having a lot of trouble filling these jobs, in addition to the reasons that have been laid out by Kelly and Jonathan. The first is that President Trump does not treat his staff well. He publicly embarrasses them. He publicly undermines them. Remember, he was pretty conspicuous in passing over Gary Cohn himself for the Fed chair job, to say nothing of the way that he's treated both of his chiefs of staff, the way that he treats the Secretary of State, his and obviously his Attorney General. So you're not walking in there expecting a lot of support from the top. The second thing is, the other reason you want to be in there is because you want to have an opportunity to influence the process, because you feel like you bring some expertise or some wisdom or some insight to try to help people who are at the center of power. There's no indication that the people who are already there, certainly the people who have already left, many of them left because they couldn't influence the process. Gary Cohn left, as we now know, because President Trump made a spur-of-the-moment decision to blurt out this tariff policy in a press spray, not as a part of any sort of policy-making process. And there is no opportunity for Gary Cohn, who we do know has strongly held views on this issue, to influence the president's views. So if you know you're going to get criticized by or undermined by your boss before you even get there, and once you do get there, you're not likely to have that much influence on the process, then why would you even go?
Look at the last 5 resignations or withdrawals just on this monitor. Gary Cohn, Hope Hicks, Josh Rafael, Rob Porter, KT McFarland. That's just in February of this year and March.